Hello, this is Takahashi from m-flo.
And this is Verbal from m-flo.
And we're with Porter Robinson at Second Sky.
Hello, welcome. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having us. Yeah, so great set yesterday.
Thank you so much.
We
It was
loved
it was like the time of my life. It was unbelievable to stand in front of people again and play these songs.
And, Verbal and I were, ranting about how great the show was. And, I think Verbal's better than me explaining how good it was.
Yesterday, definitely, you closed the night with an amazing stage. It was emotional. It was super innovative. And what was really, touching was the fact that it was transparent. Like, there was a lot of scenes that was very personal. You were talking about your family, your father and your mother.
Yeah.
And then your big shout out to your girlfriend. That was awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
And then, so Taku and I, during and after the show, we just kept going on about what we thought was awesome throughout the show. Just like the little details. He was like, how does he do that? And what was cool was, occupational hazard, right? Usually you're like, oh yeah, what's that LED about? Or like, what's that lighting? How did they do the fireworks? But it wasn't even about that. We were just so amused at the whole show. We were so like immersed in it.
Right.
So that's what we've been, raving about.
That means so much to me because you guys are such legends, and the fact that the show, like, it took you out of watching it as a production and you really felt immersed into it is just incredibly meaningful to me. And yeah, I'm so grateful. I'm so glad y'all liked it.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Yeah,
it was
thanks
great.
for having us. It was like, remember it. So the funny thing was after the show, we went up to you and I said, I get touched by watching lives, but I don't usually cry. And I went up to you and I told you I cried. And the funny part was you're like, which song?
I was curious, but that's something that I kept in mind all night. Like, as I was going to bed last night, I was like, wow, like Taku cried. Like, you and I have hung out quite a bit over the years, and I didn't expect that from you. So I was like, it made me look at my own performance differently. I was like, wait, maybe I really did something. I think maybe you guys relate to this. For me as an artist, I always have this feeling that whatever I'm doing is 95% of the way there, but it's not. I'm not finished. It's really difficult for me to feel truly satisfied with what I'm doing, and so some people call that imposter syndrome. Some people call it creative block. I'm not really sure, but for me, it's so helpful to hear from people and put it in perspective. What the set feels like to somebody who doesn't know anything about it.
Last time, if my memory is correct, at the Second Sky, you were virtual self.
That's right.
And you decided to do Air to Earth this time. What's the reason for that?
Well, yeah. So one tradition that people may or may not know about is that every year I try to open Second Sky. It's really important to me to be the first performer on, because it's essential that I get as many people into the venue as possible early to watch all of the other artists. It's something that's really not about me. It's like I just like, playing right after me are some of my best friends in the world, this group called Wave Dash. And I was like, I really want them to have a big crowd. So what can I do to help that? And so that's why we have this tradition of me opening the festival every year. So last year I opened with my project, Virtual Self, which is kind of centered around like darker techno, jungle, trance, speedcore, hardcore. And I didn't think it was the most compatible with the morning feeling of starting off the show. So this year I was like, what am I going to do differently? And I started exploring the idea of opening with like some disco and some house, progressive house, because I thought like when people are walking into the venue, I wanted people to like walk in with a smile on their face, kind of skip into the venue, like happy people. And I feel like house music is the ultimate thing for that, of just like good vibes in the morning. And once I started preparing the set, and I did so very obsessively, anyone who was with me can tell you that when I was rehearsing Nurture Live, I would rehearse and then go straight to the hotel, and all night I'd be digging for tracks all night for Air to Earth. And so I realized I had such a passion for DJing this type of house music. I was like, I should give this project a name just in case I want to do this again down the line at other events, and maybe possibly make some music for it down the line as well.
So
Yeah, I feel like speaking on the aliases or like alter egos, it just gives you like a different avenue of expression because like you said, Porter Robinson has a world, right, in and of itself, like we were just talking about earlier. But when you create like a different like avatar for yourself, almost, it's just that you could just kind of, I don't know if it makes sense, but you could be a little irresponsible. You don't have to be like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It totally obliterates the expectations. Like, that's what I like most about it, is like, if I'm playing a set as Air to Earth, I only have 45, 50 minutes. If I have to play Sad Machine, Shelter, Language, I have to play all my big songs as Porter, then there's no time to do something new, you know? So that's a big part of why I like starting over, is because it's really fun for me to destroy the expectations. And the other thing for me is, the thing that I'm always looking for with music and with live shows is like, I want to like bathe. I want in the vibe. I want to like be immersed in whatever the aesthetic is. So like, I feel like it's like why with this Nurture show, I'm standing on the video floor and there's a video floor behind me, because I want to bathe in it. Truly, I want to be so immersed in whatever the vibe is. That's why I make art. It's why I make music, is because I'll find some kind of vibe, some kind of thing that I think is really beautiful and worthwhile. And I'll just go, I want to get closer to it. It's like a moth to a flame. I'm not satisfied until I'm like inside of it, you know? So that's why, that's my favorite feeling, is like feeling immersed in something that I love that's totally new to me. That's always what I'm looking for.
The way you use your stage setup was so genius. And I mean, because it was so natural. It wasn't like, hey guys, we're using the latest technology, or it's not about that. It was like, how you use the video cam, and then people are like, what's gonna happen? And you brought out your laptop, and then the whole stage became a laptop, and it was something that maybe somebody could have thought of, but it was just so original, just because of your delivery, and we could go on and on, but it was like so amazing.
Like, we just thought it was a prop, but it actually was a camera.
Yeah, it really worked. I can tell you how that idea came about. One of my favorite parts of creating a live show is working on the visuals. It's like, I feel like I'm 50% music, 50% visuals. So I'm not actually like drawing anything. I'm not an illustrator, but what I do is I commission a lot of video content from video artists online, friends, collaborators, and then me and like 7 people, we all get in a house. We lock ourselves in a house for like 3 to 4 weeks, and we just start editing video to the tracks. It feels like summer camp to me, because it's just everyone's together in this unusual environment. And the laptop idea came because I remember suggesting, well, it's for this song called Divinity, and that song has a fairly iconic visual from the last live show. And no matter what I tried, I couldn't find the right visual for the new show. I'm like, the old one was better. And so I thought, like, what if we sort of tried to put that old visual in some kind of frame, like put it like a picture frame or a TV. And so I was like, let's put a white frame around it on the back wall and leave the bottom floor white. And then I was like, it looks like a laptop. And so we started 3D modeling the Nurture Book Pro. I had a 3D artist in the room with me, and I was like, the laptop should form. And then we were pretty stuck on the last moment of that track for about 2 to 3 weeks. And then it hit me in the shower. I was like, the webcam needs to turn on. And the original idea was just to have the camera guys point the camera at the crowd. But I was like, what if we could actually do it using the sort of bad quality webcam on the laptop? And actually, last night was the first time it like worked really well. During rehearsals, it was like way more laggy, and so when I saw that working, I got so stoked. I was like, yeah! Like, I was saying nonsense. I was like celebrating the fact that it worked.
Yeah, he was definitely on that point. He was like, how does that work like that? But it was
it's just a Skype call. It's literally just a Skype call to front of house.
And Verbal was mentioning when we were talking about your show after we watched your show. You had an LED on the bottom, you had it on the back, and it wasn't just technology. You just use it for the story. And I don't know if this was your intention, but people were locked down because of COVID.
Yeah.
We got so used to the webcam. So I saw like a connection between having a webcam at home and doing a webcam on a stage. It's like there's a connection in between, and that's how I felt, and kind of like I felt very touched for that.
That's so cool. Yeah, it's one of my big inspirations is like, I always love like music and art that feels like it symbolizes its own time period. And so like that's why I get so into the aesthetics of the 90s and into the aesthetics of the 2000s, because if you watch it, you're like, oh, that feels kind of 2003, but the people making it at the time didn't intend for it to feel like that. It was just the zeitgeist. It was the culture, and so like in Drake's live show, he did this thing where he had a video floor but no back wall. It's like, here's the arena and the floor is the video wall, and they turned it into an iPhone. And I was like, that's cool now, but in 30 years, if humanity survives, that will be so cool. It'll be like the old iPhone.
Look authentic.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, man, isn't that so 2010s? I love that feeling.
When you ended the virtual show, the Secret Sky, you ended with Look at the Sky.
Yes.
And when you were playing Look at the Sky, you made people actually look at the sky.
I loved that moment.
Was that intentional?
It was. It was like there's the very last chorus of Look at the Sky. I worked together with my lighting director on that. So one thing I feel very lucky about is that like I think my entire team, I'm trying to find the most passionate and excited people who like I kind of want the people where if something doesn't work or if the show doesn't go well, after the show I can tell they're kind of sad. I want my whole team to really care about everything that's happening. And so my lighting director, he's a guy named Ben Coker. He designed all of my stages over the years, and he's also obsessed with pyro. And so actually I remember maybe 2 months ago he sent a video of where all the pyro cues would be, and I was like, I don't have any feedback. This is perfect. And that Look at the Sky moment was one of them. It's like, and then just saying Look at the Sky and everyone looks up, and it's I mean, the other lucky thing is that in part because of the pandemic, I had like almost like 2 years to work on this show, which I've never had before. And so in that way, although it was kind of scary to have the show get delayed, there was a real blessing in that too, I think.
Yeah, on that note, I thought Secret Sky was super amazing. I had the pleasure of you showing me around the VR chat, your world, like different, the metaverses, if you will, right?
Right.
How you took me to a world with rain, and you could make music out of it.
Oh yeah, ambient.
And then you kind of showed me the particle live show aspect, and how that was gonna, happen.
Yeah.
So. That was a special private tour. Thank you again.
Yeah, it was so great to take you through. I mean, I love the fact that you're so like in tune with these new technologies and new ideas. It's like there's very few people, even in my generation, that are interested in learning that kind of thing. It's something I respect really highly. And it was really fun. I love giving people tours of VR chat because, I mean, I something that I really love in this world is like, when there's a new idea, when something's first getting started. And my example of this is always like the future-based movement a few years ago now. I remember when it first started getting popular, I still sort of feel like the music that was made in the first 6 months of that movement was extremely creative. And then as time went by, there start to develop these rules, and people start doing the same thing. And that's kind of how I feel about VR right now, is that it's like something that's totally raw and creative, and the people who are designing environments in VR are doing so with very pure intentions. They're just trying to make something that's interesting to them, and there's no rules yet, and that's something that I value a lot.
Actually, when you told me that, and then I saw the Secret Sky event, it was really interesting to see how everybody was bonding, and just my feedback, or just what I thought attending that event. I had my Oculus ready. I went on my computer, and I also tried it from my smartphone just because I
Oh,
wanted
cool.
the all-round experience, right? And it was amazing because it was so inclusive. Like, you don't have to be so familiar. If you send someone the link, or you just, porterrobinson.com, you could just kind of jump right in or something, right? And what was cool was your lineup was DJs who were not necessarily, familiar with this kind of field. Like, and I didn't even know that Boys Noise was into this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and when he played, what was cool was, all the avatars had these hoodies on, right? They were like these black avatars with hoods, and they all got together and started jumping in one area, and like I could feel the energy, although everyone was like a uniform avatar, and every artist played in different ways, and everybody reacted differently. It was like a big field where people could just roam around, but it was very easy navigation, and just the experience was so all inclusive. That was what I think we need to do, so that people could start meeting. And what I really found valuable, especially with you spearheading this movement, was we can't meet people. Like, this is our first time traveling in like a year and a half or 2 years, like, to come to California.
Thank you so much for making it out here, by the way.
Thank you for having us.
No, and it, but in the meanwhile, we were able to meet online. It was like you can meet people like face to face on Avatar, and like so that was something that gave us a hint.
As somebody who was more of a selector and DJ in the past, and now I'm trying to do something that's a little bit more of like a pop show or rock show, I have to change my relationship to the audience. And so, I mean, I was telling you yesterday, I was studying the Love Bug performance from maybe 2003 or 2004. I was like, oh, that like this is so classic, but it works so well.
Which show was that? I'm trying to remember.
Probably Yokohama Arena.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
I know, because Rika-chan was like, oh, it's in Yokohama. I showed her the video. So I always download a lot I YouTube videos before I get on the airplane. And for this was maybe 2 months ago, I downloaded like every m-flo music video and live performance, because I just really wanted to watch on the plane. Like, I'm a little embarrassed to say this, but I didn't know as much about m-flo like 3 or 4 years ago, and something this year I got way into it. It's like a big inspiration.
We were in the studio together.
Yeah.
And you didn't know a lot of info back then, right?
I know. I was told that you guys were legends, but like this year, I think one thing for me is that that R&B influence really connected with me this year, and like the more the slightly jazzy seventh chords, and the way that you guys mix together like the R&B sounds with house and with drum and bass, like some of the songs that felt like R&B, but then the drums are double time. I was like, so many good ideas here. I was like, I really came to I feel like understand m-flo a lot better in the last year. Wow. So flattered. I'm such a fan now. I'm actually a little nervous.
Well, like, since you brought this up, and some audience watching this show might have no clue why we're talking. How do we know each other? How do we get?
Is it maybe a block.fm history?
I got to know you through block.fm. When you met yesterday, you guys knew each other already.
Yeah, we sort of connected through a mutual friend who wanted to put us in contact about some VR stuff. Because Verbal's been like doing a lot in the VR space and really learning it. And
I think before that, I don't know if you had mentioned, you came to Tokyo and you were looking for a studio. So
yes.
You came to my studio.
That's right.
But
Shibuya,
I wasn't
right?
in town or something.
Yeah.
I couldn't meet him.
That's the studio with all the cats, and there's a cat there, right?
Yeah.
There's a cat there.
And we ended up renting a studio together.
Actually,
awesome.
I started the song "Mother" in that studio.
You were playing piano
wow.
in the piano room too.
Oh yeah.
Oh, awesome! Wow.
Yeah. Like I didn't know you personally, but I'm a DJ, as you may know, and I really got into Easy, the one we worked with Matzo.
Yeah.
And also the language which you played last night.
Oh yes.
And
I have to find a way to play Easy. Now that you say that, I'm thinking about the next.
It's a classic. It's very emotional too. But was there any hint from the VR world that could be associated to this real event?
Well, interestingly, we sort of wanted to model the environment of the Secret Sky event, which is the digital event. I'm sorry, I've named those two things so confusingly. Everyone gets it wrong.
Second
Secret
Sky,
Second Sky.
Sorry, secret.
Yeah. No, you got it right. I get it wrong. Yeah, that was perfect. So with Secret Sky, we modeled the environment off of the venue that we were supposed to play this year. But for a whole number of reasons, the venue actually had to change. It changed to here, and luckily we were able to transform this, in my opinion, into something I think is really beautiful. And for that, I have to give shouts out to this team called Nassel. They're the ones who kind of engineered the Harry Potter world, all those big castles and all the shops.
Yeah,
and
I
stuff
saw
like
the
that.
Potaro statue.
Yeah,
There was like
Installations.
line going like for miles. It's crazy.
It's like amusement park, isn't it?
Yeah, it's awesome. Speaking on VR again, when we released our second album back in 2001, it was called Expo Expo. The theme was a VR expo. So it's like this non-existent, digital space where we could show Unreal Entertainment. But back then there was, we just kind of made it up. We're like, yeah, it's a virtual reality, and the artwork was kind of based on that on our, on our records. So yeah, when you
And he actually did it.
yeah, you did it, and you're just kind of like bringing it back physically, and then back, today you're gonna, this is gonna sync with the VR chat as well, correct?
So obviously we have this digital event called Secret Sky, and we have this real world event called Second Sky, and one of our installations today, we're live streaming the event, and the event will be kind of live streamed to this Secret Sky world. And we actually have created sort of this like window between the two worlds. Here at the physical festival, there's a screen where people can look into the screen and see people at the digital festival. And likewise, people at the digital festival, there's a screen in the VR world where they can look out and see people in the real festival as this way to connect the people who can come to the festival and the people who can't, which is something that's really cool to me. And it's also, I mean, just, my stuff aside, there's a lot of people who are doing great stuff in the realm of virtual conferences and stuff like that. I know that wasn't there a Comiket in VR chat in the last 2 years, and there've been a great deal of VR like conferences. Like there's the potential. You can tell we're just at the tip of the iceberg right now with VR. I mean, as these technologies become more comfortable and more accessible, the potential is really unlimited. Like if you think about putting together a concert in reality, you're constrained by the laws of physics. So if you want a spot on the stage to be bright, you have to physically install a light, and it needs to shine down on wherever it needs to go. In VR, that's the click of a button, and you can do things that defy the laws of physics. If you want to make the entire audience the size of a marble, or if you want to make everyone fly, or if you want the stage to suddenly become 5 times wider, I mean, VR, as it becomes more convincing and more cheap and accessible and comfortable, the potential for artistic expression, I think, is truly unlimited. And, sometimes it's hard when something is, when you're truly unlimited. Like, sometimes it's better to have some constraints, but I feel so certain that the realm of VR entertainment we're truly just scratching the surface now, and it will expand beyond what any of us can imagine right now, I think.
Yeah, the accessibility, man. That's the next step, I think.
The glasses.
Yeah, the Oculus is, I mean, if you're used to it, like you said, it's cool, but like, the way you made it accessible for people just on a browser-based,
True, yeah.
Yeah, that, so anyone can just kind of jump in and sort of experience, at least on the, beginner level, and then sort of like get in more and more into it. Because you definitely have more freedom and liberty when you like have the Quest on and, just kind of like navigate, right?
Yeah, there's no wire and... Yeah, for sure. And that's a good point, too, because I forget sometimes that even though we have it's a VR space, you can just go there on your phone. You can go on your computer and just play it like a game. There's the world is. I wanted to make it something that people could experience as accessibly as possible. And the other thing is, like, even if people go on the website and they see this VR concert that's happening, even if they just watch it for 30 minutes and then they go watch the live stream on YouTube, which is also happening. We just do like a live stream like any other festival would on YouTube and Twitch. Just knowing that space is there is kind of comforting, don't you think? It's like it gives you a certain feeling knowing that there's a digital space for it.
Yeah. What is like the most essential criteria for a good festival? What do you think? What do you guys think?
You please go first.
Well, after watching your show yesterday, I mean, it definitely changed my standards. I think, what I really noticed about your, festival is that it's very inclusive, all the audience feels welcome, and they feel this community, and they're one with the music and the musicians that you curated, and they're in sync.
Right.
Obviously maybe some people are like, oh, okay, I heard it for the first time, let me check it out, but I don't know, as far as I could see, just the crowd was so immersed, like I keep saying, like so people were like dressed up for it. It was like unlike any other festival. They were like as if that's how they would want to look like in a virtual self, but then they're here physically, and even the VIP area, it was like so different from
It's
other.
Usually VIP areas are for the people who buy champagnes and stuff, but your VIP is more
cool people.
It's totally different. It's
Yeah.
just like it's where nice people hang out.
I can tell you.
I mean, I'm not saying those VIP areas are
I know
bad.
what you mean,
Yeah. No, but it's a different vibe.
Yeah.
I think maybe my favorite thing that I heard the first year of Second Sky was there's a band called Anamanaguchi, and they played, and the lead guitarist's mom came to me in the backstage area, and she just said, I just came back from the crowd. These people are so nice. And I was just, that made me so happy. Like, I just, that's really what I want. Like, to create a culture of mutual respect and sincerity and kindness amongst everybody. And I try to lead by example. I mean, everybody's human and everyone has their moments. Like, sometimes I get angry or jealous, or they're like everyone's human, but I do try to put my best foot forward in the way that I interact with my audience, to where I try to, like, even with, I think, opening the festival first and saying make sure to watch all these other artists. I can vouch for them, they're amazing. I really hope that translates to people as maybe a message to be respectful, but I don't even think they need it. I think they're generally just kind folks anyway.
For me, festival, location's important, food's important, of course, booze,
The Potaro food. The Potaro.
It was
the collab.
The collab. Yeah, that was awesome. The
He's a
coffee
legend.
was dope.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
like
the
that coffee, the Kyoto iced coffee. It's got like
awesome.
a little Potaro sticker on
you guys
it.
had bobas. And
Yeah.
I love the food there. And aside from that,
Mhm.
music's of course important, but the fact that you get to like be introduced to new artists is one of the very important criteria for me to go to festivals.
You put me on to Wave Dash. Like,
Those guys are great, right?
Yeah, I saw the set. Is one of those things, like, you were like, who do you know from this lineup? I'm like, I know a couple of these people. You're like, oh, you gotta check out Wave Dash. They're my boys. I was like, okay, I saw
They
their
are my
stage.
boys.
So much energy. I went back to the hotel, downloaded their music.
Yeah,
You put me on, man.
Yeah, I love that. Those guys are some of my best friends, and man, they've just, like, they're so hardworking, but also their mentality. They have that incredible artist mentality. Like, if I'm feeling kind of weird about or insecure about something I'm doing, if I talk to them, they always have the right thing to say. And they're also hardworking, and I just, like, I think like the number one thing I want to do at this festival above anything else is to create a place where all of my favorite music can coexist, where you can have an act like John Hopkins and you can have an act like Caro Caro Bonito on the same lineup, where Caro Caro Bonito they're just very, very different from each other, but I think they're both artists that my audience would really like, so I think, like, more important for me too than this sometimes feels like a controversial thing to say, but I really think it's the best is that I don't really want to give my audience the thing that they think they want, and maybe you relate to that too. I think people will tell you what they want, but sometimes they don't know what they want. And I think it's better to show people something new and open their mind to something fresh than to give them the artist that they would be most excited about in advance. I want there to be an element of curation where I want people to, go to the festival and be like, man, Wave Dash are really dope. I'm going to go exactly like what you just said, like where I want to go download their music and learn more about them. Cause it's hard to get clout, it's hard to come up as an artist. It's hard to get people interested in what you're doing. And I spend so much time, you as a DJ, I'm sure you relate, spend so much time looking for the newest, dopest, most interesting stuff. And like, when I hear something that blows my mind and it has 196 plays on YouTube, I'm like, damn, like, I want to help.
One of the fun part, one of the most exciting part, and also something that which gives you a headache is the timetable.
Yes, that's difficult. That's really difficult.
It is difficult. And, like, your timetable I thought it was kind of unique because usually you start with something little, like it gets, how should I say, more banger towards the end, but you have it like it's kind of a wave that it's just not just going up with the tempo.
Right.
You actually start out with someone who's very hard, and then you
with Wave Dash, right?
Yeah,
they go super hard.
And
they're not playing around.
And some chill out.
Yeah.
How did you come up with those timetable?
Well, I think honestly a lot of it has to do with how big the artist's following is. Just being honest, that's really as you start to get managers and booking agents involved, everyone's like my artist. You sort of read the room in terms of what's appropriate. Like this artist is clearly bigger than this artist, so just out of I think respect and wanting to get them to play the festival, things go in a certain order. But I it's a very DJ's mentality that you have there too, about like making sure the tempo goes up the entire time, because that's classic DJ stuff. It's like you start at 123 and then you end at 135, and it's a really good feeling because it feels like the intensity is rising. But I feel like I learned something too yesterday watching John Hopkins play. His first track is like 128 beats per minute, and then he goes into his song Emerald Rush, which is more like 110 or 108, and the feeling is incredible. I mean, I got the craziest chills. It's just like it starts off with this like and then like after like 6 or 7 minutes it's
it works, right?
Yeah, it's really cool. So and John Hopkins' whole performance is like every sound in all of his songs sounds like an organism. It sounds like a creature that's evolving. Like every kick, it never sounds the same. The bass sound is always morphing, and I told him that when I finally got to meet him yesterday, and he was like, "I'm so happy you said the music sounds like it's morphing," because I know that's what he's going for, and his performance was stunning, and so I mean I guess I say that to say there is an ebb and flow to the energy for sure. I think it's a good thing. I think it's like last year we had Chrome Sparks on the festival, and during his performance, some people laid out blankets and sort of had a picnic, and it was a vibe, like it doesn't need to be banger start to finish. And I think just one more anecdote, if you don't mind.
No.
Something that I always think about is some DJs become very precious about, don't play my track. Like, don't play my track before I go on. That's a classic rule of thumb, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, don't make your tempo higher. Like, this was maybe more in the 2000s. Like, if I'm a house DJ, don't play trance before I come on. It's too fast. And something that always stuck with me was when I first went on tour with Skrillex, every artist before him, it was me and then Zed and then Skrillex, and he gave us permission. All of us played Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites, and all of us crowd surfed during it. His biggest song, he loved it. He was like, it's a great song, like let's all play it. And so I would play his biggest song opening set and crowd surf And then Zed would do the same thing, crowd surf, and then Skrillex would do it in crowd surf. And you know what? It never got old. It's like Jay-Z and Kanye playing Paris 9 times in a row. I don't know if you've ever seen that video in Paris. It's like. So I guess sometimes the rules are made to be broken, but yeah. So that's maybe how I feel with like Wave Dash coming right out the doors and crushing it and going super hard. I'm like, it's fine. The energy will ebb and flow, and I think it's good.
It's like giving the crowd what they want that they didn't know.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, sure.
It's
exactly.
like the same song over and over, but it's like, hey, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like,
So wait, it hits different the third time. Yeah.
Based on my knowledge from Japan, seeing you at the Secret Sky, your performance totally changed from the last time for the Second Sky, because you were behind the deck, but after the Secret Sky, you start to go front and start singing in front of people.
Yes.
Like, and I loved how your piano's far away and keyboards. What made you change your mind?
Well, there were a few factors. As I was writing the new album, Nurture, where it's much more centered around like choruses. I think a lot of my past songs, it was like this instrumental drop. And then on Nurture, I was like, it felt fresh to me to try and write like more poppy choruses. And there's this other thing of how I'm like pitching my own voice up to almost sound like a Vocaloid or something like that. Like I have this live effect that I can do where my voice goes in the microphone and it goes up an octave and it just sounds just a little cuter. It's almost like a female part.
Yeah. It
and
did.
And so I knew as I was writing the songs, my mental image was like transforming into this completely different person where I would not be shy at all and I would be totally charismatic and stand at the front of the stage and hear people singing my songs back to me, because I'm a pretty shy person overall, and I like not much of a rule breaker, I think, interpersonally, but I just had this image of just like my life being different. Like, what if I tried to fill the shoes of a pop star or something like that? That kind of feeling. Like, I just thought, what if? And it was very inspiring to me. And who knows, probably my next project will be nothing like that. Or maybe I'll go back to DJing, or who knows? Maybe I'll just go live in the woods forever. Who knows? But probably not, considering my track record, because I keep wanting to make art. And so the first year with Secret Sky, everyone was literally, it was the first few months, everyone was truly locked down. Like, I was not leaving my room. And I was like, what type of performance can I put together with the stuff I have? And I had my DJ controller. And so even though I was already thinking about standing on stage and singing, I almost wanted to make a rule, like, no more DJ sets for me during Nurture. I love breaking. Well, I guess I am maybe a little bit of a rule breaker, because
you are.
Yeah, I sometimes I set rules for myself. I like rules, but then I like creating them to break them. And so I was like, let's just DJ. So yeah, I did DJ for the
first one.
For the first one, and then as things started getting more relaxed and it became safer, I was like, let's take a step towards the full performance of singing, and it's way more challenging than I thought. I think you must know, as somebody who stands at the lip of the stage, like it's not as easy as people might think. And maybe it's harder for me because I'm new at it, but it's a real skill, being charismatic and controlling the crowd, and
you were natural. I mean, it was so, like I said, so transparent, and like it wasn't, how do you say it? Like, it wasn't scripted, obviously. It was so, like, every comment you made to the crowd, and, the way you got everybody engaged and talking to your family members as well. I mean, it was new. I was like, wow, I know it wasn't something like, okay, yeah, say this so the crowd goes wild or something. It wasn't like that at all. So it was fresh in that way. So you're a natural, man.
That's thank you so much, first of all. But I mean, I do actually plan stuff. Like, there's a certain amount of I'm sure you know this too. It's like, if you have a mic stand, or so you need to keep track of your mic. It's like really simple stuff like that. Oh, I need to be at this station. But if it felt like any of the choreography was invisible, that really makes me happy. I'm like, oh, that's great.
No, it was so natural. Like, I mean, if it
so
was,
bad.
yeah, you fooled everybody. I mean, it was
Yeah,
so, like, everybody was super engaged into it.
I changed
I
stuff
totally
too,
agree.
though. Like oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I couldn't believe this was your first time, performing in front of people, singing like that.
I didn't know how it was gonna go. I mean, I remember being right here. This is my trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Like an hour before I went on, and just like walking in circles, like so nervous. Like
You were.
yeah, I was really nervous. I was like, before I went on stage, like my heart was like pounding so much, and I'm hearing stuff in my in-ears saying like, one of the synths isn't working. Like we're gonna have to like leave that out, and like things going wrong right before you get on. You're like, oh my god, what do I do? I was incredibly nervous, but I think, I don't know. Once I got up there and I heard people singing my songs back to me, I almost cried on the first song. I almost did. I was like, well, I gotta sing it. Let me hold it together. I'm like, and then I did change some of the choreography because like, you just have to adapt. Like the mic was feeding back more than I wanted. So there's one song that I wanted to perform like on the ledge, like sitting like this and just dangling my feet, and I realized the mic would be too feedbacky, so I sat down on the video floor and changed a couple things. But yeah, man, the feeling is really pretty intoxicating.
And
Yeah, you were improvising like perfectly.
Yeah, you
I
were
did not
natural.
know any of that. Like we were just like you were just like rolling around on stage.
I did. I laid down at one point.
And the transition between the real piano without the sequencer and the sequencer was so smooth.
Oh, cool!
Like,
I'm so glad.
And I was like, you gotta tell me how you did it with the acoustic piano playing without the sequencer, with the whatchamacallit, the vocals, not auto-tune, but more like
the pitch shift.
Yeah,
yeah.
How do you do that?
So wait, which part of the show?
We were playing the song. When you were playing piano, acoustic piano, without the sequencer.
Oh, right. I was
And
playing. I was just playing. So it's in Sad Machine. I'm playing freely, and then I sing into the mic, and it's like the high voice.
Yeah, you had the high voice. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah. So the trick is, should I reveal it? I'll do it.
Will you?
I'll do it for you, Taku. Of course.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
It's a MIDI piano. It's not an actual acoustic piano.
Oh, snap! Wow.
Yeah, it's sending MIDI, and then the trick is revealed. And then my voice is processed separately, and we run it through a vocal chain that pitches my voice up, and heavy auto tune and stuff like that, and
it doesn't sound like auto-tune too. It sounds like a synthesizer voice.
yeah, I like that. I like that feeling.
It's very, very like your signature.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I got so into Vocaloid music kind of late as well. Like, Vocaloid was popping more like maybe like 2009, 2010, 2011, right? And 12, 13. And it really hit me in like 2016 or 2017, where I started like getting into people who make Vocaloid music, and I'm like, wait, this is kind of like me, because these people are like producers. They're like, they're these kind of, to be like, I'm consider myself a pretty nerdy person. I'm like a technology nerd. Like, I think a lot of Vocaloid producers are kind of like otaku, you know. And
we have something in common.
Yeah. Vocaloid producers are people who are trying to play every part. They're doing the drums, they're doing the bass, they're doing the lead melody, they're writing the lyrics. And so that was really inspiring to me, especially writing vocals and lyrics for this more female sounding voice. I was like, this is kind of like Vocaloid. So I listened to a lot of that music during that time, and I just remember like riding around in my car listening to like Miku and just crying. Like, I'm that kind of I am that kind of guy. It's I definitely have a touch of the like otaku in me, but I think I really think that's something for me. I know there can be a bit of a stigma around like otaku, but I think it's really just someone who's really passionate about something, and I think that's what makes a great artist, is somebody who really cares and really is driven to try and get closer to something they love. I think that passion is something really beautiful. So
100% agreed. We were happy that you were playing our music. And you also played Utada Hikaru's My Remix.
Yeah.
The Sense remix. Yeah.
What that playlist is basically my Spotify likes. It's like that playlist is I went through my liked songs on Spotify, and I picked like 200 that I thought would fit like a good, positive, happy vibe, and of course, so much m-flo music really fit that for me. And I also put like a bunch of my friends' music, and there's always hints to the next lineup in as well. So
I'll be frank with you. The one you played from m-flo, Against All Gods, Against All Odds, Against All Gods, I think it was inspired from you.
Oh, really? Was it Shelter? I noticed you guys have the hi-hat pattern that.
Yeah. It's the hi-hat.
I was like, oh, that kind of reminds me of Shelter, but it's so fresh. Actually, my good friend Garrett was playing that in the car, and I was like, wait, what is this? I was like, this is because the synth is really different. The synth is really different from what I would do, and it's really fresh. It's like,
thanks, wow.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I wouldn't have like had that like filter or that sound on the synth, and that's what really caught my ear. It was like the thing that.
Wow.
Yeah, that track is sick. I think that was playing right before I went on last night as well, wasn't it?
It was.
That was a good feeling. Yeah, I was like, that was nice.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
You know what? Would like to talk a lot more. Wait.
Yeah, we can go on and on.
Yeah, we can. But
we should do it over drinks or dinner too. I mean, I'm such a fan. I'm so incredibly grateful that y'all have like come together here and are doing this all for me. Like as we have this interview and you're talking about my stuff, I do feel I'm like, but you guys are legends though.
Right back at you, man.
Yeah.
You're the legend.
Yeah,
this is so awesome.
You inspire us a lot. Seriously.
And likewise, you're gonna hear a little bit of m-flo swag and some new music for sure. So get ready.
Be really looking forward. So, yeah, thanks, man, Porter.
Yeah, thank you guys
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you so much.